Do you want to beat the end in Omega Flowey without your special souls mattering or your actual soul mattering? I'm going to tell you how. During this run, I used Mad Dummy, Pyrope, the Eye, and Metaton. I also brought Toriel and Frisk, but I barely used them. Your special soul barely matters, if at all. It probably doesn't even matter. As for my actual soul, I took Determination, but since my only benefits were to special monsters and I didn't use special monsters outside of placing them right at the start, don't even worry about it. You could win with Patience or Bravery, any of the souls. Right before I get to showing you how I got through, in case you're wondering where these things are dropped, 1. Mad Dummy is a drop that you get from let's see, Waterfall. You get Mad Dummy from Waterfall, and you can only make Mad Dummy if you have the evolution of Dummy and Napstablook. Dummy is a reset one only. You cannot use Mad Dummy if you do not have your first reset, and then Napstablook, which is also a Runes drop. Pyrope is a common Hotland drop. The Eye is a evolution drop that you get from the core, which you make by putting together 10 Luxes. And then lastly, Metaton is a rare Hotland drop. Metaton, out of these four, probably did the least, but he still contributed. Finally, I did this run at level 16, reset 1. A reset gives you 5 levels worth of additional gold, meaning I effectively did this at level 21. In theory, you might be able to do this with a lower level, but this is what I did, so I can guarantee at this point it will work. Earlier, it might not work as well, but I think you can do it at a lower level. Let's get into the actual guide now. When Asgore begins fighting you, he's going to start sending monsters through the entrance. These monsters will start out as Runes, then Snowden, then Waterfall, then Hotland, and lastly Core. I quickly place 5 of these eye creatures, and I make sure to set all of them to prioritize weaker enemies. I do this because when Asgore personally attacks, you do not want any of them to waste time hitting Asgore. But setting up 5 of them, honestly, you don't even need the weaker, I don't think, because of the fact that they attack so fast. Get 5 of them down, you're set. I end up skipping ahead because, yeah. Now, make sure to sell everything before Asgore reaches your health. Do not attack Asgore, he cannot die. It will not help you. Sell everything because you will lose all of your towers that you've placed. Because of my status of being level 16 with 1 reset and using this strat, I had just a little shy of 30,000 gold. Again, if you were Patience or Bravery, you might get even more money and have an easier time with this than I did. So, after Asgore gets killed, we move on to the next stage. I should note to make sure to kill everything in the Asgore room, with the exception of Asgore, or you will take damage. I've had that happen before. So anyway, see where I put the eye monsters, okay? I put the 4 across the room. That way they should cover most projectiles. Then I start planting my pyropes. The eyes will be one of your main methods of killing killing Flowey's attacks. I also set Toriel and Frisk here because I thought they'd be useful. They were not. They did not really do much. Next, I set the Metatons up with the hopes that they would slow the bullets. I'm not sure that they did slow the bullets, but later on in the run when I started maxing them, they did at least contribute a little more. So with this, I've set up most of my things, and now I started placing the Mad Dummies. I did not need to do this. The Mad Dummies are not really needed until a little later. And because I ended up selling and moving those Mad Dummies right there in the middle, I ended up wasting money. I could have planned this a lot better, maybe by putting the Mad Dummies in the front or putting more in the middle. We'll get to that later. I'm just going to show you the whole run against Omega Flowey. I'm not going to skip any parts of the actual fight, so you can all see in real time all the mistakes I made and me explaining what those were. You might notice I had very little on the right side. Later on, some attacks do sneak through the right side because I didn't have much covering it. But for the early part of the fight, I am fine. Things are not really sneaking through. The first thing I'm upgrading would be the eyes. Now, I did think about it and I decided I did not want to get the eyes to level 3, since at level 3, their cooldown goes up. So I came up with a compromise, which is I waited until I had enough to bring them to level 4, and which costs, I think, roughly 8,000 to go from 2 to 4. And I did that. For each of the eyes, I would, instead of going from 2 to 3, I'd go 2 to 4. All right, so this is the first soul attack. Every certain amount of time, a soul will attack, and these will have different patterns from Flowey's attacks. The souls are very much capable of killing you, but once you manage to kill the soul, you will turn the current attacks heading towards you into healing. But yeah, you see, the right side was not very strong for me. I end up moving one of the middle metatons to help cover the side. But yeah, now I'm getting all that healing. Your maximum health will also go up throughout the fight. The reason I thought Toriel might be useful is I was hoping she could heal me, but since she was not getting dust, couldn't use her that way. Alright, so we continue on. I thought about leveling up the eye, but I decided against it because I really want to play it carefully. Again, the weakness on my right side, not moving anything else to the right side like another pyrope, causing attacks to go through. But overall, I'm still fine. This is a successful run. Alright, so we're going to keep killing all these projectiles. I'm going to do another level 4 on one of the eyes. The eyes cover so much room. You could try to do a substitution with some of these things. The eyes are probably one of the most difficult things to substitute. They don't cost a lot, they have good damage, good cooldown, and a ton of range. I think you could probably reasonably substitute Pyrope, Metaton, and maybe even Mad Dummy, but I think the eye is probably one of the most important things. It might be possible to substitute it, but I do believe that for the price, it is just so incredibly useful. All right, so we're going to keep repelling, and I believe that the next phase is coming up here, the phase of bravery. And as for the bravery part, this is when I'm start kind of wonder about my mad dummies. It took me a while. I did eventually relocate metatons, as you can see, but at this point I wasn't sure where my dummies fit into it. I knew that integrity was going to send some annoying projectiles, but I wasn't sure how I wanted to address it, and I also knew that I needed to keep mad dummies in the middle. The reason I needed to keep them in the middle is because of the fact that the souls will just go right through there. They always go through the middle, and they're the most health out of everything. Because I knew that, I did eventually start upgrading the dummies, but I also had to relocate most, if not all of them, for various reasons. So let's keep on going. Bravery's part of the fight was fairly straightforward. The reason I'm going through the entire fight, in case you're wondering, is I was looking for a guide when I first beat this, and I was struggling to find a guide. Either people had others helping them, which is great, but you want to know how to beat it yourself, right? Or they would just skip the fight and go, yeah, so anyway, easy, right? So that's why I'm going through step by step every single thing I did so that you can all imitate it and beat the fight yourselves. Alright, so again, we're going to just keep killing all these enemies. The Metatons are. I'm not sure how much they're contributing. Again, I think they could reasonably be substituted. It's really the eyes. You might notice that, well, you can only move in the white box. The eyes are shooting outside of the box since their range is so massive. They don't care that these projectiles aren't inside yet. They're going to start fighting. You can see on the left, those pyropes stopped the vines from coming in. That's why I do like the pyropes for the fight. I think I had too many pyropes in the middle. I definitely would have benefited from moving at least one pyrope to the right to A, reduce damage, or B, even kill enemies. I'm amassing a lot of money. I think at this point I was hoping to save my money in case the next soul was problematic. The next soul right now is integrity. And you see, there it is. If I don't have a dummy prepared for it, it could go really poorly. So at this point, I place the dummy down, I get it to level 3. I was hoping to get it higher, This dummy, because these shoes, when you're solo, have 180 health, my dummy was not one-shotting them, or was that 190? That was 190. I needed to upgrade them to level 4 to get the one-shot going on those. Additionally, since a lot of my things were attacking the souls, the shoes were being neglected. Thankfully, I do manage to kill the soul here, and it turns into healing. Integrity is probably the first point in the run, right? If you get through the start of Omega Flowey, this is probably the first thing that could really mess up your run if you are not prepared. But if you, doesn't any part of Omega Flowey can absolutely ruin you, but I personally found that Integrity can really mess you up due to the fact that it has such a strange pattern. But if you get through Integrity, you probably have the signs of a good, strong run. So right now, I'm trying to think, where do I go from here? I'm maxing out the eyes since the incredible range the eyes gain from being maxed is clearly crucial. So I start picking out eyes, maxing them, covering up the whole map basically, because again, 60 range is so much. I do wish that you could use flying units in this. I imagine the reason they don't let you use flying units in Omega Flowey, because that's why I'm not using any flying units, is because they usually have such high range that maybe they can make the fight too easy. Maybe. But I also think that limiting or cutting out so many units also limits the strategies that you can use. You're limited to well, not even, probably more than half of the units. You still get more than half. I just don't like the fact that you get limited to what you can use in the actual fight itself. So I'm thinking here, maybe I should max the dummy out. If I max the dummy out, then I can deal with a soul more effectively. And then here I get a little nervous because of what? Look at those little words going through from the book. They're actually almost sneaking through. Thankfully, I have a good enough defense that they aren't making it through, but I was a little scared by how they are getting some good progress. So at this point, I believe I decided to not max the middle dummy and instead place a dummy right in this spot here and level them up. Again, if I did not place a bunch of dummies in the middle right off the bat, I would have had more money to use on upgrading dummies. And that's probably the biggest mistake I made money-wise. First tutorial costs so little that I can't really say they're much of a mistake. Between the two of them, they're about 3,000. Well, placing 5 dummies, which I mostly sell, let's say I sell 4 of them, that ended up being about 18,000 gold wasted. So you can see why that's the main investment that I really am disappointed about. I think I kept 1 dummy there just for middle purposes. All right, so right now we're doing fantastically. Attacks might have snuck through a few times, but really it's not a problem. The max health we keep gaining is more than enough to keep us alive. I do place a dummy right here with the hopes that I can finally make my right side strong enough that I won't get hit anymore. I wasn't liking the fact that I was getting hit on the right side. Let's keep going here. Because there's one more stage after the soul section. You know, I think I'm going to speed this up now because I think you've all gotten the idea. All right, so in this stage, I'm at 2 times 2 speed. That's a little too much. So now we're at plus 50% speed. The attacks are still coming in, but my units are fine. I've maxed out one of the dummies. And kindness was very terrifying. My units, if I had placed more dummies near the middle, I would have been better off. Or if I had like a Metaton to place in the middle, Metaton EX, I might have been able to stop all the projectiles before they could reach me. Additionally, the green soul was actually making a terrifying amount of progress, which is why on the spot I maxed out one of the middle dummies. That was the only dummy I didn't eventually sell. I tried to position one dummy here in case there was another kindness situation, but I didn't end up needing it. So let's keep on going. I'm glad for the 50% speed because we'll actually be able to finish this fight a little sooner, and you're not really missing anything. I'm just upgrading dummies. Now, you might ask, why am I never really upgrading the Pyropes? At most, I really only wanted to give the Pyropes one level. I finally upgraded Toriel, but it really doesn't matter. She's not doing anything. The reason I don't upgrade the Pyropes is because their upgrades cost them range. Mad Dummies gain range. I think Pyros, maybe they gain a slight range boost from level 2 to level 5, maybe, but I did not feel like the Pyropes were worth it. They also would lose their explosion of AoE, and that little AoE explosion is very nice for the vines and other attacks that might be close together. The eyes and the Mad Dummies had so much more value. So we're going to keep on going here. Justice is doing its thing, but that's not really anything to worry about. You can see my max health is so high, and because very few attacks are getting through, some are, uh, I'm mostly fine. Now I was very concerned when I was seeing Justice get through, so I sell that dummy there and move it back. Again, if I had played this out better, I probably would have had all those dummies right in the front. The soul does reach me, but then thankfully, whenever the soul dies, it makes all the current attacks heals. So I quickly heal up, and because I was the last soul, Flowey's defense drops to 0, and we're in the last stage of the fight. So Flowey does his standard attacks, but with one addition. Fight buttons will appear around the map, and these fight buttons, when killed, I think they have 1,000 health in solo. These fight buttons will actually deal damage to Flowey. Now here, I didn't have anything in position to kill this fight button, so I sell my level 2 dummy. Again, probably could have done better with that dummy, but since it was not really contributing, I move it back, and now I'm starting to deal damage to Flowey. Finally, I'm making progress in the final phase of the fight. I upgrade Toriel because why not? I was looking for something to upgrade. And then I remembered Metaton. So I start upgrading the Metatons, and every time you upgrade Metaton with the exception of level 5, they gain more range. Metatons hit everything around them. So I was just hoping they could weaken the bullets or even kill bullets if I was lucky. Metaton does slow enemies, I believe, but I'm not sure that these bullets can be slowed. I didn't notice any of the bullets getting slowed, but they might just have been so fast that the slow was negligible. Anyway, we're actually almost done here. And I was playing in low detail mode, so that's why Flowey kept disappearing whenever I walked a distance away. I do wish I scrolled up to Flowey's health. I remember Flowey dying catching me off guard because I didn't realize I was that far in the fight. But yeah, a lot of these fight buttons are appearing and immediately dying because, yeah, we're getting really strong here. Considering I had so much excess money at the end, this is part of why I think that someone on their first reset might have a good chance if they can find a good substitute for Mad Dummy, or someone on their future resets coming in with lower levels. As long as you have the right characters, I think you have a good chance. Anyway, with that, I beat Omega Flowey. And with that, we've reached the end. If this guide has helped you, then please leave a comment saying that it has so people know the guide works, like the video, and if you want to see more guides in the future, subscribe. If you have any questions, again, drop a comment, and I will answer them. Well, at least I'll try to. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.